Today, we are presenting the Roland V-STAGE piano. Stick around, this one is a lot of fun, a lot of features. Hi, this is Ted Barsley with Alamo Piano Galleries.
I'm Roland V-STAGE with the Alamo Music Sound Lab.
And I'm thrilled to have him here today and that you're here at alamopianogalleries.com. You can find out more about this Roland V-STAGE piano we're going to talk about and also other inventory that you can look at alamopianos.com, pianogalleries.com. And Roland, I have a lot of questions on this because I know you've read the book.
Oh, yeah.
And I've just pushed the keys. And so with that, there's lots to talk about on this keyboard. And the first thing I'm going to tell you is that I'm not sure who came out with this layout first, but I started liking it a few years ago. I noticed it, number one, on the Nords, and then the Yamahas kind of went that way with the CK line. You have like organ, piano, sometimes that includes electrics, and then you have like another electric or synth patch.
Correct, yeah. But that format's kind of been around for a while now. Back in the 2000s, Roland had the VR keyboards, which had, the organ section, the piano section, the synthesizer section, but it wasn't nearly quite as elaborate as this particular V-STAGE.
What I like is how they've separated the basic sounds that a keyboard player is looking for. And then they also separated the effects in the process so that you can take this setting and run it through the effects. And it's not gonna, on the older keyboards in the 70s, what the effects was the effects.
Right.
And so if you had it set up for piano, then you went to Rhodes or sound, you'd have to change your effects because they weren't automatically flipping. These automatically flip.
Absolutely, and the cool thing about that is that when you do change preset, then it actually carries over to the new preset. There's no break in signal, and that's been a big thing for years. Anytime you would change a patch, it would kind of like stop a little bit. Not on this keyboard. It's seamless and it flows.
And the other thing I've noticed is that this is the first time I have seen, and just as an example, all the sounds in here are great sounds. The layout is it's really self-explanatory. And a lot of the stage type pianos are going to a very similar, if not almost cloned type of copying on the layout. And what I've noticed on this one is the names. And there's a lot that, I love the names of the sounds that all the manufacturers come up with.
Right.
But what I've noticed on the electric pianos, when you go to tines, and this is the detail, this is the kind of the bank of, you're going to wonder why I didn't demo a whole lot. It's because there's so much there.
A lot.
And just on the electric pianos, you have, it starts, they mention a year, 74. Then there's a 75, a 76, and I think the 79. Rhodes type pianos are all in there, identified by whatever changes they made in that year model.
Correct.
So the 75 to 76 was a big advertising transition. And in terms of the actual change in the keyboard, there was just a certain couple of things, but it warranted a new year model.
Yeah.
Roland has all of those almost year models from the mid to the late 70s stacked up in there.
Absolutely. And every Rhodes of that era, every single year that a Rhodes came out, a different model, different series, was completely different, So I think they really nailed getting each one of those characteristics down with all those presets. Not just on the Rhodes, but on everything else.
Well, yeah, and the whirly sounds and all that are as well. Of course, they weren't as big in the later 70s as they were in the early to mid, the whirly sounds. The Rhodes kind of took over, and then also, that phaser effect. I mean, the bands that used that were just almost unlimited. And then it was a phaser with a stereo chorusing in it. And so then what happens as just keyboard effects in the 70s on a Rhodes and a whirly ends up being a whole new stereo sound with, does the chorus actually detune and go down, or does it just kind of warble back and forth?
Right.
And how much stereo do you put in it? All those are built in. They're phenomenal. You don't even have to say, oh, this is a great sound if it just had this effect and that effect. 2 clicks down, you're going to see that great sound with whatever kind of effects you're looking for in there.
Right.
Now, the other thing, since we flipped this thing over, and sometimes I don't, this is what I like about this stage piano, besides all the other things I haven't even talked about yet. The keys are great. The action is great. The keyboard is not lightweight, but it's solid, and that's a likable thing. It's like playing on a grand piano. It doesn't wobble, it doesn't move. I like it a lot. I love the keys. I love the feel. They're textured. The back of this lays out a lot of the detail of what you have inside. You have all these outputs and inputs. And it's really interesting. There's a mic input on this thing.
Yes. Very cool. So the mic input on here, what I love about it is that you could run it through the effects processor. So on this far end of this corner here, you have what's called a total effects section. And that total effects is actually 3 layered effects. It's, for example, a reverb, a delay, and whatever else you choose to load, right? Well, though that microphone, those vocals can be running through that total effects processor as well, on top of what's going on the keyboard. So I think they really, really thought of everything for the gigging guy, the musician rather. I think that they really kind of like programmed it, built it for every true professional. It's a great keyboard.
This is one of those keyboards that you're so excited when you get it. You take a week off from work and school and just go on vacation to plow through the manual, plow through all your settings to personalize it. And for example, the microphone settings. So if you're going to go out there and set, you need to know that when you play and sing, the voice is just a tad bit, you get your volume mixed and your EQ mixed and all that. That is one of the coolest things to have in a stage unit.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times that microphone is an entirely separate thing. It's not even included in the keyboards.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of times where you don't want the sound guy to control your vocal, right? So this gives you the liberty to adjust your volume, your effects, and equalize the vocal as well. All right there under your fingertips. Really cool.
The other thing I think that's I really like is they used red, obviously. And I know that's some kind of homage they're paying toward the Nord keyboards, which everyone throws down as being the great sound, the great keyboard. And I will tell you this, we sell keyboards here, and we sell pianos, and we sell digital, we sell all the gear. Whenever you get a customer that says, oh, I have a Nord, there's no sales pitch that you can really gonna get. People with Nords don't want to get away from them.
Right.
And they may upgrade it. They say, well, I'm considering an upgrade to do you have the new
version
of that. And now last week we did the Roland RD2000EX with the expanded pack.
Right.
And I went back after we shot that video because there's going to be more videos coming up on that and this one as well because we're not even touching the surface. I tried mostly to focus, and we're going to get to that real quick. It's not a phenomenal demonstration here, but there's a quick demo run through grand pianos, timed pianos, reed pianos, a real brief digital piano. I'm not real big on that digital FM piano sound, but there's also those listings that I like. There's the JD, which I think is a specific Roland piano. Then they have an SA, which I think might be their first synthesis piano they came out with that might be an RD type sound. And somewhere in here, I didn't go looking for it, but I know there is that essential Roland patch that belongs to the Elton John grand piano sound.
Oh, yeah. It's in there.
It's in there. They don't call it that. It has a name.
Yeah.
But with that, let's go have a listen to some of these so we can come back and get a wrap up. Now listening to that playback,
Man.
what I was,
That's good.
yeah, and I had to limit, I had to limit the sounds. But what I'm amazed with is that all the manufacturers, like all the major manufacturers, put out a keyboard that's real similar.
Well,
And they're all looking at one another just by the way they lay out. But here's my point. It used to be you could argue one sound is better than another sound. This manufacturer's better than, but they're all putting out great stage pianos.
Absolutely.
At this stage.
Yeah.
This does remind me of the Nord. At times it reminds me of the new Yamahas that came out.
I got to say, I'll take it one step further. There's a lot of things in this keyboard, a lot of engine in this keyboard that, the Nord just can't compete with. I mean, I love Nord keyboards. I have a lot of Nord keyboards, but there's a lot of things in this keyboard, the V-Stage, that you really can't get with any other manufacturer. I mean, the piano samples themselves, I think, to me, are more dynamic than the Nord stage. That's a big thing, right?
Right.
You also get the Zen core technology for the synthesizer section, which you don't get on the stage. I've always thought that the Nord stage had a very weak synthesizer section. With the Zen core technology on here, you're really unlimited as to what you could load in and carve out with the synthesizer section. So there's a lot in here that the Nord can't do. And I think Roland really just took the reins and just made an awesome keyboard for stage.
This is a phenomenal machine.
Yeah.
I'm just really, really impressed with it. And the endless amount of high quality sounds and the potential. This is something that I think if I had a studio,
Done.
yeah, you throw this down and say, look, man, keyboards, I got keyboards. What do you want? It's that out there. And there's some other stuff that's junkier than that. It doesn't quite match up as that. I mean, this is a Roland dream machine almost.
It really is. And, it's a long time coming. I think they've made a lot of fantastic keyboards in the past, decade or so. But I really think that they really kind of like invested themselves heavily and deeply into the design of it. I think it's really just hats off. It's amazing.
I have to stress, this is the worst thing about working at the store. You know exactly. You get spoiled rotten because, well, you're not the guy that has to throw down all the coin for it. But this keyboard, the way it plays, the way it feels, that to me, of all the stage pianos we've had, this one here is a real feeling deal. And we don't even have the three-pedal thing plugged into
Right,
it. It's just,
right.
the sustain. And for demo purposes, it's wandering on the floor. Most of the, you know what I'm talking about, you have to chase it down. You could make there's a potential to get this thing exactly like it set up, solid, like a grand piano with the three pedals, and it all works.
Or just use it by itself because it rocks.
It does.
It's just a
It's
good
awesome.
keyboard.
We're going to be back with the V-Stage piano. There's probably going to be a part 2 through maybe we could go up to at least 100 on this thing. There's so many levels of depth, not just on this one, but the other keyboards, and that's a great thing. It's almost like manufacturer's new end of the rainbow. Look, everyone's coming out with a top-of-the-line great stage piano. They're laid out similarly, and it's very, very fun to play. And the sounds, hey, they're all delivering great sounds. With that, I am Ted Barcelou.
I'm Roland Perez.
And we're here at Alamo Piano Galleries dreaming about having more time to spend on the keyboards. And we're going to be doing that and bringing you all the little things that we find. Thank you so much for your viewership, and we look forward to seeing you soon.